Hello everyone, playing a little bit of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I want to talk about an interesting concept right now in the Call of Duty community. While I play a little, Bacon is a good map to highlight some of the complaints going on with the poor, particularly poor leadership in the Call of Duty fandom. Oh dear. Let's take a peek around. I don't see anything. Pretty much how I record these videos is... Oh dear, cluster strike ain't very useful. How I record these videos is what's up. Find something interesting to talk about. I start recording and talk about it. Find it interesting enough to post, then I post it. Alright. For those of you who don't know, I have a YouTube channel, DSR, where I put up the shorter videos. My personal account, Douglas Scott Reichenbach, where I put up streams. Alrighty then. That covers some formalities. I apologize for any sounds of dogs in the background. I have two, and sometimes they get a wee bit chatty. Now, oh, you can jump on top of this. Not sure how that's useful, but that is one of the complaints I'd like to talk about. Is the fact that you can mount things. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I've heard many tote the line that the whole mounting system needs to be scrapped as it belongs in, say, a Rainbow Six game. Here, let me check this. Oh, well, thank you for all that ammo. From this position, you can directly control this side of the map. If your team's on the defensive on Call of Duty Modern Warfare, or Team Deathmatch, or Kill Confirm, that's a very good spot to control. Here, shotgun to the face. Let's see now. Check this route. There's some long open corridors with this map. Should have hugged the other wall. What? Hugging was, I think, always an issue in Call of Duty. They constantly point out things like head glitching, and that's one of the complaints towards the mounting system in this game. Now, what head glitching is, for those unfamiliar, is because, technically speaking, your weapon in the game is always where your head height is. From where you can see, if you can just peek over an obstacle, duck down behind it, you can still shoot over it, even if it looks like your weapon is not aiming over it. Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, I figured that would happen. Now, if individuals would think back, head glitching and wall hugging have always been in the game. Just in some games it's more pronounced than others. Now, I'm just old enough to know the transition between games. In fact, I remember when people were widely complaining about the whole ability to run on walls and stuff. But once people got good at it, when other people were complaining, they just say, get good. What you saw in the transition between the two eras in Call of Duty gaming. You had the pre-Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare games and the post. The post is where you see a simplification of the Call of Duty model. Relay maps were introduced fairly heavily. That's, you really gotta check those windows on the way by, but I'm in a rush to get inside. Oh dear, oh dear. I know someone's out there. Now, I hear a lot of individuals saying that camping wasn't a super huge problem until this game. Well, that's not true. In the pre-Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare games, there was a very slow-paced gameplay in a lot of cases. Not always. It came down to map and other factors. Oh, they're probably going to win that. Yes, they did. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. In the post ones, where you see the simplification of the mechanics. And I'm just old enough to remember that the players that were good at the pre-Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare games complaining about the new mechanics, simplification of them, saying that it was dumbing down the game, making it more for noobs. Now, isn't it interesting that you see that all over again? Now with this game, as they've made it a bit more friendly to more defensive players, they're saying the exact same thing. They're saying it's making it for noobs. In fact, I remember when, not too recently, things like wall running mechanics were introduced, and grapplers, and things of the like. You had people, first widespread complaints about the new mechanics. Oh dear, should have seen that coming. However, when there were people who got good at it and were experiencing success with those mechanics, they would just tell people to get good. Which you see a lot.
Enemy cruise missile incoming.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And you can see that time and time again with these games. Anytime new mechanics are introduced, the individuals that are the most successful with these new mechanics will say just get good, get better at the game. Or the people who are better at the previous versions of the games was sit there and state the game has to go back. It was perfect the way it was when I was the one dominating everyone. But now that it's become harder, those who haven't adapted to effectively dominate the games as they used to. Now, a lot of the times they still do. Just not to the extent they used to. You gotta work for it a little bit more. There are people taking advantage of wall hugging and the mounting system in this game. In fact, the mounting system has become pretty standard in a lot of AAA titles to be able to climb on things and adding verticality, which the wall running mechanics in the previous games did add. I find it very interesting that there is widespread discontent about it's not particularly widespread though, to be fair, about the verticality in this game, but there were Call of Duty games where the verticality was far worse. Check behind. It's real easy to control routes on this map. Oh, I got one that went down. It's a victory for us. Go beans, go beans. Now, on to the next match. Alright, just continuing on the previous. Currently working with the Ram 7. Rather enjoy this particular assault rifle. Interesting. Someone's headed this way now, aren't they? Cool beans, cool beans. Now, another complaint is all the doors. I think that what comes down to is when the doors are shut, you don't know if there's someone camping in the corner. Or camping behind the door. For example, to my left right now, you could probably sit back in there and just wait for people to come by.
UAV on station, ready for flyover. Assist your team at me. UAV entering.
Now, comes down to the map, but there was camping in the previous game, especially if you had a coordinated team. You had a coordinated team, you could lock down entire routes and just dominate a match. Oh dear, oh dear.
Friendly UAV up.
That's very popular. That warehouse, you can lock it down.
Allied cruise missile.
Lock down that other little hallway, and you should be able to handle things quite well. It's good for more defensively minded teams, especially on team deathmatch, because it's real easy to control that route.
Securing B.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
This is Jaguar 3-0. Securing Charlie.
Someone's bound to be in there.
Bravo.
This game is just generally more defensive, and a lot of aggressive players, by default, don't particularly like it. Now, I don't think it's a question of competitive players versus non-competitive players.
We're on Bravo. Stand by.
I think it's more akin to people who enjoy a more aggressive playstyle compared to those who prefer the more defensive one, more technically oriented.
Allied cruise missile away.
Because you can be fairly competitive even in a defensively minded game, and
Enemy UAV overhead.
there are some very, very competitive Rainbow Six Siege players out there. So I don't think that's a fair argument. Oh dear, let me check this. Oh, there you are. Oh, another one down.
Radar drone ready for action.
You still have the issue in the game of people saying others should get good.
UAV overhead.
Oh dear, someone's ring-ding-a-dinging me when they shouldn't be. I don't know if you can hear the phone ringing. Oh dear, but it's loud enough. Well, let's see what's going on. It's really easy to control this little part of the map.
We're holding Charlie.
I think that's the frustration. See, generally when people aren't doing very well in a game, they tend to not like the game. When the mechanics change in that game to make it more accessible to the newer players, people tend to, who are already good at the game, not particularly care for that notion. Why are you making it easier for people who weren't good at the game to begin with, or are new to it? They should just get good. But you see that time and again, over and over, in this franchise and other ones. Anytime there's a change in mechanics, people who get good at the mechanics tend to tell people just get good. Those who were good with the previous mechanics, and I'm not particularly fond of the newer mechanics, tend to not particularly care for the change and say it should go back. It's where the term Call of Duty conservative comes into play. They want to keep things as they are or as they were. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Someone's up and about. I got a feeling we're not going to take this match, though. Team's acting fairly defensively, and as I do pay attention to things like kill to death, I don't intend to deliberately provide free points for someone else's K&D. Well, that's the goal anyway. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Yes, yes. Oh, there's somebody. Oh no. Oh dear. I got 5 rounds. Should probably just take out the pistol until I can find some ammo. Oh dear. Well, that worked out for me. Well, that did not. You see that more and more in the game. I've never been on a Call of Duty. There's even Call of Duties like 3-4 games after where I've never had problems finding matches. But on Vacant, which I attribute to some of the hostility against the many aspects in the game right now, I've had to wait up to 5 or more minutes for a match, sometimes up to 10, just because they can't get enough people. People keep popping in. Oh, it's vacant. I'm gonna leave now. Shipment's awesome. However, they're targeting that particular map as well. Oh dear, someone definitely there. Let me move around. They say with the verticality and the spawning system that it has ruined the map because it's been updated to more modern standards. What's wrong with the game being more open to newer players at the same time, offering modes that should at least attempt... Oh dear, there's definitely people up and about here. However, yeah, Shipment was meant to help placate the older fans. Well, they still ain't happy because the mechanics are still there. Wall mountings, verticality. In fact, I pretty much think a mounting system of some kind has become pretty standard. Now, if these franchises are going to survive, how are they going to if they just constantly keep shelling out new versions of the same thing over and over and over again, with little to no innovation? As there was once a major demand to remove things like the wall mounting system. Without innovation, you can't attract new players. You can't attract new players, then, well, eventually your franchise shrinks and shrinks until... till there's basically nothing left. It becomes unsustainable. They say, well, Call of Duty was always meant to be a arcade-style shooter. Well, what's wrong with an arcade-style shooter being of a defensive mindset? Which goes into the fact, I think one of the primary issues here is the game was dominated by aggressive players for so long. An aggressive playstyle. Now that there's a more defensive playstyle, they ain't particularly happy. Well, I guess that's going to be all for now. Like, share, and subscribe. Got my channel, DSR, where I put up these shorter videos. Comment, if you like it, if you don't. Well, got my second channel, Douglas Scott Rivenbark, where I do streams and such. See you around.